about the playground and the AI playground. And really what that is that's the terminal. You as an admin, so I'm an admin right now, so I can see a lot more features than your users will be able to. But just imagine, they're logged into Grok or Gemini or ChatGPT, and that's the interface they're going to see. Obviously, you'll have different settings here. Um, all of these enable the privacy, the reliability, only the best result, which large language models or third-party agents or first-party agents you set up. You can do here. You can also set up your users if they use certain types of prompts all the time and they're asking questions and you want to load these prompts in your history right here. We preloaded them with a bunch of security and privacy and also reliability issues so that the models would know, our software would pick up any issues ahead of time. And then you'll notice here, I have Cohere, Gemini, and Grok set up right now. So I'm going to send that prompt to those three models. And in the background, what's going on is this is a guardrail system. We call it our AI firewall in between these third-party models or your first party. So if you're building your own large language models or you're installing Llama and securing it based on your data and your context or whatever a model that might be out there, we're absolutely work with any type of AI agent, large language model, small language model, vector database, RAG model. So we are really that shield between you, your users, the agents, and the different AI components you have. And so, you know, if your user was just logged into Cohere and they sent this information, you probably would not get all of this information identified and then automatically anonymized. And that's what happened. Our AI judge said, looking at your security and privacy policy, you have some specific, you know, security, privacy, and even maybe ethics issues that we broke here. I noticed that, and then I wanted to keep context, so I kept context, and then I sent it to the model, but none of your sensitive data actually went out. So this just looks like test data. But when it comes back to your user, they don't even know they broke a security and privacy policy. Look, John Doe, we sent John Doe, and you can see that all that information came back. Then the other thing you're going to notice up here is these scores. And so we obviously suggest that you always have more than one model, primarily because you want to be able to find out if the model's hallucinating, if it's the data starting to drift, it's becoming unreliable. And we all know some of these times these models get updated. And if your users are using them, they don't necessarily say this is Cohere version 4.2. They updated the model, it starts giving you a different answer. You want to be able to monitor that, right? Um, and so these scores actually come from our AI judge. Our judge is saying, based on consensus, this is the best answer. And to break that down, it's based on input and output tokens, but you can look at the reliability report. So what was the engineering method, the measurement, identification, sentiment analysis, and then the breakout of how they scored. And if you don't like those scores, let's say I thought Cohere's answer was not as good as it should have been, although it was a really good answer. I thought Grok was better. So then you can actually start reinforcing these models, and that training data is your data, right? So once again, you're every time you use a model, you're actually fine tuning it to how you want it to respond. So in this case, if you had lots of users across your organization, if it's an internal model, obviously you want to do that reinforced training, but you want to keep that data. And down here, I'll show you this in a little bit, but you own that in our model. And then, admins can tab these and you might do best results. And the reason you do best result is because you have an agent that you're feeding the data to, or, maybe you have you have to have very high confidence in the responses from these large language models or these agents. So you want to make sure you only get the best answer every time based on the consensus. Last but not least, we're zero trust. So what we did is we didn't trust any of the data that went out from me, the user, to these third or first party LLMs. And we found 37% of that information was actually a violation, and it fixed 100%. So it noticed it, the AI judge fixed it. You can see in the user settings here, I have a bunch of compliance areas that I'm automatically fixing. And also I have a bunch of PII and PHI attributes. So, maybe bank account number is not important to you. You can turn that off. We have care customers. They're like, look, I don't, the treatment plan is not important. The diagnosis, I need it, not just context, but don't put their first name, last name, and their social security number in there. So, based on your organizational security and privacy policies, you can set this up any way you want. You can set it up with any models you want or agents. You can load them right here. Um, and then, you know, everything that you're seeing here in the AI playground is also available via API. So there's a few places you can get that right here for our developers. If you actually set up this call specifically, it's something your organization does a lot, then you can come right over here and you can view the code. So you can see under the hood what the response was, and then you have the actual Python code that dealt with this transaction. So, that's really important when you're trying to create new capabilities, new agents, you're tuning them, you're updating them. And, once again, all this information created an audit log, right? And that audit log has a lot of data on who the user was, what they did, how many input tokens and how many tokens, output tokens, how the models responded, what the remodels were, et cetera, et cetera. And so you're keeping that full chain of custody of what are you using your users using the large language model and agents for? Are they sending sensitive data or proprietary information to these models? And if it's, you're going to get a lot of these logs if you have lots and lots of users, so you can actually build your own model to ask questions. How many tokens did we use with ChatGPT 4.0 this month? And you can actually ask that. You can build a RAG model right here. RAG is retrieval augmented generation, fancy word of saying we're going to take a large language model and then we're going to fill in with our specific data and make it contextually aware. So it just gives it context. So when you ask a question about audit logs, it knows you're asking about these audit logs. You'll notice that through our platform, we let you build secure RAGs across the platform, and you can do this also, of course, via API. So that's the secure playground. Once again, you can enable first party models. Those are the ones that you have in your internal network. The way we're deployed, is you can go on Azure AWS and you can download it on including the Gov clouds. Or what our most common use for our customers that have highly sensitive operations is on premise. So everything you see here in the platform, you can actually download into your secure, even if you're not connected to the internet, and you can still monitor these AI large language models, these agents, these vector databases, your RAG models right here, and your users. So very portable, very lightweight. The real power in this is if you decide to do your own first party models. Let's say you have Llama and you're training it internally, you're still going to have to use those GPUs. And then, however you set up your AI judge, you can use ours or you can use your own. So we allow the this to actually train your own AI judge. So you're not stuck to an environment. And then we don't like being stuck with a vendor anyway, especially with how quickly these models are changing. All that data that my users just created up there on saying, yeah, Cohere was the best, and I really didn't like Gemini. Um, when I come down here, now not only do I have an audit log, I can generate. Let's say I'm moving to Cohere. Everyone in my organization has to move to this model. I've been told my managers, my CAIO or my CISO said this is where we're going, my CIO. And now all that fine tuning that you did with those models that's your data. That's your organization's reinforced learning on those models. You own it in our platform, right? It's secure. You're not stuck on ChatGPT or Cohere, Grok, or DeepSeek, or any of the models you're currently using because you're generating this data all the time. And so you own it. You should own it. You should be able to fine tune your models based on your organizational needs. And if you decide to change models, you should not be locked into one because you've been using it so long and you've trained it. So that's another capability we have here. Um, Feel free to reach out, send me questions, but also, download it, use it, get online, try it out. I think you're going to find gaining control over these third and first party models is going to help you in your organization adopt AI quicker. And also just being able to monitor how your users are using it are going to give you some very interesting security, privacy, reliability, and AI ethic issues you're probably going to have to set up on those models.